friends. It's Tracey and Violet from Tea Time with Tracey and Violet. Come here, Violet. It's 5:30 in the morning. It's Friday morning. Happy Friday, everybody. I'm up bright and early. I got up a while ago. Got the laundry going. Got the dishwasher unloaded. And I'm just having my morning coffee. Yes, Violet, they see ya. Oh, just hold on a second. I can hear my husband getting ready to head to the city. Just a sec. Anyways, I don't have a tea cup with me now. I'm having my big fat coffee because it is 5:30 in the morning and I needs to have my coffee, and so does Violet. So there's a few videos I want to do today, but this is one of them. So I might as well start right off the get, right? Delicious. I finished a book yesterday. It's called The Resurrectionist. There's a lot of whoop about this on people's book channels, saying that it's extremely disturbing and dark and twisted and disgusting. And it is. I read it. It took me 2 days to read. But I'll read the back of it so you can... I don't even know what the back said, but I read the book. Ever since, ever since her new neighbor moved in, Sarah Lincoln has been having terrible nightmares. Last night she dreamed that her and her husband were brutally murdered in their beds. This morning she found bloody sheets in the laundry and bloodstains on her mattress. And the nightmare is the same night after night. With no one prepared to take her wild fear seriously, Sarah will have to save herself from being murdered again. And then there's a couple of reviews or quotes. Rath James White has more to say than his contemporaries and says it more eloquently. Poppy C. Bright, author of Lost Souls. And Rath James White isn't just going for the gross out. He has wit and intelligence and utter ruthlessness, from Cemetery Dance. So yes, this was written by Rath James White. Never read anything by him. And it's not a super long book. It's 280 pages or something. 287 pages. This was first published copyright 2009, renewed 2014 by Rath James White. So, Bloodbound Books. And he dedicated this to his mother. So, anyways, let me just have another sniff out the coffee so I can clear my mind. There goes my husband. I'm defrosting ribs. I took them out last night sitting in the sink. Some baby back ribs I'm doing tonight for supper and stuff. Anyways, so this book, big crazy in this, his name is Dale. He moves in across the street. It's like a cul-de-sac. I don't know where. Las Vegas. It's from Las Vegas. He moves in across the street from Sarah and Josh. They live directly across the street in this nice big house. He moves into a smaller house that an older couple lived and upgraded, but they had to move out due to foreclosure. The cul-de-sac that they live on, or the neighborhood they live in, a lot of the houses are abandoned because of the market and foreclosures, like the housing market. So it's a beautiful place, but more than half the places are abandoned or closed down, owned by bank, for sale. But I should say, first, this book starts off with Dale as a little boy, and he pretty much walks into the bedroom watching his mother being brutally raped and murdered by his father. And it's very graphic and brutal and gross, in the sense this book his father was killing his mother, and it sounds like there was a track record of this, like it was an abusive marriage anyways, but he just took it a step too far and pretty much killed his mother right in front of him with a smile on his face. Like the dad had a smile on his face, and he kept sexually assaulting her after he stabbed her, if you know what I'm saying. So it was really just, that's where the disturbing, I mean, it's disturbing to kill anybody, but to continue to sexually assault somebody after they're deceased. What? But yes, that's what this kind of book is. So Dale, this starts right like page 1, okay? Dale doesn't run away at first, but slowly he makes his way to the phone, calls 911. And this would have been back in the 80s when this happened. The police come, shoot his father. Again, first couple pages, all right? And then he's left, he sees his mother laying dead there in the bed. And this is where he first comes aware that he has some sort of a special gift. He thinks if he can give his mother mouth to mouth, like they do on TV, she will live, resuscitate. He proceeds to do this, and lo and behold, his mother starts to knit herself back together. She's shredded, right? Like she is shredded, stabbed, just, just terrible, just terrible. The police officers that arrived on the scene were outside vomiting, like it was so disturbing. He just blows into her mouth, and she starts to knit herself back together. So by the time the police come back in, she is back to normal and is wondering, what the heck's going on here? Why are you in my house? And everybody's like gobsmacked, like you were just laying here dead, and what's going on? So fast forward years down the road, Dale's an older child living with a single mother, and it shows that he's a little twisted son of a gun. Now you get the thinking like, well, maybe he can't help it because he's seen that totally jacked up, messed up, crazy when he was little, but he's not grasping that although you might like to see how things die and do them in heinous ways, and I'm talking animals, so trigger warning for that, animal cruelty, he would experiment with doing different horrible things with animals and then bringing them back to life. And he learned to hone his thing. Like obviously the cat doesn't remember because they're purring just like they were before I wrung its neck, kind of thing, or did worse things than wrung its neck. I'll leave it. So he was one of those crazy young people that like to capture, torture, and kill animals. Only he could bring it back to life and nobody would know the difference. So he started to grow this obsession with doing that. And he got caught a couple times by his mother, and his mother said, no, that's not right. And he can't seem to grasp, like, well, I bring it back and it doesn't remember, so there's no harm, no foul. Well, yes, there is, even though it doesn't remember, because she doesn't remember her husband killing her. Like she doesn't remember. These animals might not remember, but it still doesn't make it right to torture these animals. This is all like the very beginning of the book. Now, Dale's mother's mother, doesn't care for Dale very much. Like, she thinks he's evil because he has this power. Why would God give this child the power to do this? And this is what he does with it. And yeah, so down the road a little bit more, he is so demented in his power. He's still a child. His grandmother is no longer in the picture. His mother is going insane, not knowing what to do with her son, and she's starting to hold the view of her mother, like, you're evil, like there's something wrong with you, you shouldn't. Long story short, it skips to Dale's adulthood. His mother's not in the picture, his grandmother's not in the picture, for reasons you'd have to read about if you want to read this book. And it shows a window into Sarah and Josh's house. They have a happy marriage. He's a blackjack dealer at a casino. She's a stay-at-home. They don't have any kids. She's working on a thesis for sexual something. She's quite a horn dog, to be honest, which, nothing wrong with that, but she's actually taking or writing her thesis on sexual behavior in tendency and things like that. But she herself, there's a lot of sexual references and, that sort of thing. I don't live that way, so I can't relate. And it's just like, sometimes it gets to a point where it's annoying. Not just in this book, any book. But anyways, when she first sees Dale, she's upstairs. It's morning time or something. She's just waking up, and she likes to walk around her house naked except for a pair of underwear, because she can do that. She's 30, early 30s. And before they have kids, she wants to take all her freedoms that she can, because if she's going to have kids in the future, she's not going to be able to do that. Her body's not going to be the way it is now. All that foolishness. But she peeks out her bedroom window, which is up on the top floor. The blinds are shut, but they're opened a little bit. And so she can see this moving truck pulling in across the road. And, oh, that's great. A new neighbor's coming. And she peeks, and there's this little scrawny man. It's even described in the book. He looks like Gollum from Lord of the Rings, which I love Lord of the Rings. But do you know who Gollum is? He looks like that. Like, he's a little scrawny, wiry, greasy. Like Mr. Burns' younger guy, like her age or maybe a little older guy, who's freaking out with the moving stuff. And be careful with that. I have computer equipment in that and all that stuff. So eventually she works her way downstairs. Josh is in the kitchen making pancakes, and he's a great big buff guy, but he's pretty simple in the sense, like, his life is happy. He had a rough childhood, but his life is happy. He has a wife that he loves. He has got a job. They got a house. He's making pancakes. He can't cook very good, but he's doing it because he loves her and all that kind of stuff. And they end up deciding to go over and introduce themselves to their new neighbor, because they don't have a neighbor, and it's nice to have somebody moving in instead of being surrounded by empty houses. And he's a creep, like, right off the get. Like, he's a creep. He's like shy and taken aback by these people coming over, but then he's staring at her tits and this evil perverted grin and stuff, and he just seems really weird, like creepy, like just really like inappropriately creepy. He's not doing anything, except his body language often says a lot about a person. And he's just a little stain, like he's just creep ball. So she hightails it, and Josh trails after her, like, and what's wrong? What's wrong? They do introduce themselves, but realize he's a wiener. But Josh isn't picking up on that. Like, he's just oblivious. And she said, oh, he's a creep, and things like that. And he doesn't catch it. Not that he's saying, no, he's not. Like, he didn't clue into that. And that very night, turns out what this whole book is. I mean, it's a little more than that, but Dale's found a new playmate. And turns out he's had ones in the past. they're just not aware that there is new playthings. He likes to break into their house at night time, kill them, sexually abuse them in horrible ways. Both of them. Like, horrible ways. Okay? Like, grotesque, ridiculous ways while he sexually abuses them all in the process. And then he resuscitates them, changes their sheets, cleans up the mess, and goes back, and they're not aware of it. Only this time, Sarah has vague memories. She can't say for sure. She wakes up, there isn't a big mess, but she does find a few things. A little bit of blood here, a little bit of blood there. The floor's wet here like it's been cleaned. The sheets are different, things like that. So she feels like she's either going crazy or she has flashes of being sexually assaulted and being killed. But obviously that's not true because they're awake, that sort of thing. So the book goes on from there, and there's a few more nights. She gets more and more crazy in the sense something's going on, but Josh he's not saying, I don't believe you, but he doesn't get it because he doesn't have any of these flashes. And she's just more and more scared to stay in this house because she's sure, but she's not sure. Anyways, it goes on from there. The police are brought in. There's no real evidence, but one of the police officers have heard of something like this, which, Dale's history. And it goes on from there. So the story isn't just that. That happens quite a few times in this book. And Dale, I'm telling you, is one sick and twisted mother. Sick and twisted. I'm not saying any sexual assault's appropriate. Not at all. Not in the faintest. No. But he just goes... I don't understand why he does what he does and why that would get somebody off. Yeah, he's a sick son of a gun. And then to get the description of what he is like, not that being a big, buff, beautiful man makes it any better. It certainly does not. But he's a little weasel-looking guy who, his back's all bowed like Mr. Burns. Like he's just a little greasy, creepy, and no shame in being creepy. Talks creepy, looks creepy, smells creepy, everything's creepy about him. And then he goes and kills and does this. So, like I say, the police are brought in and things escalate from there. And it's quite an interesting book. Now, a lot of people are saying, oh, this is really... I don't know if they would say that it's scary. It is disturbing and it is disgusting. It doesn't, I'm just like, it's not an easy book if you're not okay with reading things like that. When I was reading it, I'm okay with reading things like that. I certainly don't condone or want anything like this. It was an interesting read. And I found Raph James White, like his storytelling ability was wonderful. So reading it was easy on the eyes, easy on my mind. It flowed really well. It's simple. It's not too in detailed. It's not bogged down with a whole bunch of this and info dump or anything. I wouldn't recommend this for just a casual read unless you're into gore and disturbing. This is gore and disturbing. But I suppose it lives up to the big whoop of being just that. So I just had to read it for myself because so many people have talked about this and said this is one of the most disgusting, disturbing books they've read. And I'm just like, okay, all right. I haven't read it. I want to read it. Can I read it? Yeah, I can read it. I'm a grown-up. I can read it. And it's disgusting and disturbing, but I enjoyed myself reading this story because it was so easy to read, like really easy to read. It wasn't in depth, and it wasn't like a great big story that involved a whole bunch of people. So it wasn't like a grand scheme of things. It was pretty much Dale, Josh, and Sarah, and then a few police officers at the end. So it wasn't an in-depth story that involved much. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it blew my mind. And I don't even really want to recommend this in the sense, because if you come across this book, you already kind of know what it is. And I'm kind of new to the gore scene. But this was a lot of sexual gore, which I hadn't read hardly any of. Some, not a whole lot. So this was like sexual gore. And it's more like unbelievable. I'm just like, oh my God, really? Like reading some things that he did, and it talks about his little, and it's right little and pinky, like a pinky finger. And I was just like, I don't mean to laugh in the sense the story in this is very unfortunate, and I'm trying to keep a serious face, but it's almost like I want to laugh because I'm like, oh my God, this guy is ridiculous. The story is ridiculous, but it was a good story. It wasn't bizarro in the sense, because I've read, well, if you've seen one of my other videos not long ago, it was Dracula in Love. That was bizarro and sexual horror / a bit of gore. This is certainly not bizarro. A little bit, because he can bring people back from the dead, but this is straight up sexual gore and torture, and with a / little tad of paranormal. And you just want to pick him off the bottom of your shoe, because that's the kind of chewed up cheap gum that he is, and throw it in a dirty old garbage can that people forget to empty until it's too late. That's horrible. Nobody should be treated like that, but this son of a gun. He's a sick son of a gun. And the stuff that seems to entertain him is just ridiculous. So that's all I'll say about that. I just wanted to have my morning coffee. I really just finished this. I just picked up another book. I'm going to start that one today. But yeah, The Resurrectionist. So I finally read it. I know what people are talking about. Not scary to me in the sense that it's scary. Like I certainly wouldn't want that happening. No. And people are the most scary, in a lot of books, because unpredictable, where we were given the freedom of choice, and not everybody chooses the right way. And who am I to say what's right? But anyways, that's a whole other conversation. But this didn't scare me. It was very just like, I had to read in the sense like, what is this crazy fool gonna do now? And I was getting mad because nobody was believing Sarah, but then she wasn't believing herself. But it was really happening. But I knew, and Dale knew, but those guys didn't know, because I'm still alive. Like, Sarah's still alive. I didn't get killed. My husband didn't get killed, but that's what I know what happened. But just crazy. So anyways, Violet is here. What time is it? 6 o'clock or something? 5:56. So I'm going to finish my coffee, and I'm going to end this here, because it's a Friday and I got to get on with my day. Yes, I got a whole house to wake up, to shove out the door on the school bus, and welcome them home with a great big meal. So anyways, I'm going to say peace, love, and happiness today and every single day. Please like, share, and subscribe if you so choose. But if not, that's okay too. I still love you. I still want all the happiness in the world for each and every one of you out there. I certainly do. I really, really honest and truly do. Yes, I do. So, all right, guys. Well, with that, I'm going to say have a good night or have a good morning. And I might see you tomorrow. Bye. Bloop.